if something happens in your life, it can be a stimulus to make a change, can't it? We hear that on the show a lot, even if it's something bad. Tim Baxter is from Fenny Compton, and he got cancer, but managed to turn it into a positive by pursuing a brand new career. He's in the studio now along with his wife Emma. Thanks ever such a lot both for coming in. I apologise, I've eaten all the ice cream. I could have shared a little bit with you. I'm not going to lie, I wouldn't have done.
We were looking forward to it, but when we listened in earlier on.
I'm really sorry about that. You can try and make me feel bad if you like, but if you're looking at somebody to share food, it ain't me. No. Really.
I'll remember that next time.
Yeah, just do, I'll be honest. It's not going to happen. Okay, now listen, Tim, what happened to you then? Because it's a very unusual cancer that you had.
Yes, it is. I was suffering for quite some time with sitting down. I'd been caused a lot of discomfort, and originally I thought it was down to the fact I had broken my coccyx a few years back. So sitting down on a normal office chair was starting to cause me a lot of discomfort. And by the time I'd got home, the pain had gone, so I thought nothing of it. So it was only when I went back into the office and sat for a whole day that the pain would come back again. And eventually, after a few months, unfortunately, I decided to check where the pain was coming from, which was the top of my leg, just below my bottom. And I came across this really big lump. Obviously, I was quite freaked out by it. I got my wife to come and have a look, just to get her to have a look. And I then booked myself in for an appointment at my local GP's. We then went to the doctors, and he was concerned, so he referred me to a specialist in Leamington. And I saw the specialist, and he then referred me to have an MRI scan, which is a scan of the area of my leg. That then came back saying that it was a large tumour, but at the time they didn't think it was too serious. They just thought it was something that was causing me a lot of discomfort, and it would need to be removed. So he then booked me, unfortunately, to a specialist in Birmingham at the Royal Orthopaedic. And that's when he then told us the devastating news that actually he was very concerned it was cancer. And he also felt that the actual cancer was high grade, and he wasn't sure that the cancer had not spread to my lungs, because the type of cancer which is a soft tissue sarcoma, the areas it will be is in the area that I have it currently, but it could go to my lungs.
That must have been like a really scary time. To have a bad back is something, it's a bit sore, it hurts when I sit down. You think you've got a bad back. To make that jump from having a bad back to all of a sudden you've got a cancerous tumour, that must have been the last blooming thing you were expecting.
I was. I mean, when I first found it, obviously, I went through the normal being scared about it, thinking it's cancer, thinking the worst. Then when I went to have the MRI scan, I was then put at ease to find that it was just a tumour rather than something that was really bad. Then obviously I then went to find out it was actually cancer and it could be high grade. So yeah, there were so many emotions that went on in our family. It was hard to deal with. It
must have been a jumble for you, Emma, going through this.
Yeah, well, I feel a bit bad because I've had lots of lumps and bumps over the years, and I've always had them checked out, and it's always been nothing. So when this first happened, I just kept saying to Tim, it'll just be like my foot or my arm or whatever. And because all the doctors, the first 4 or 5 doctors we saw, all said it shouldn't be there, but it's nothing malicious, nothing to be worried about. I remember driving up the M40 and Tim was a bit quiet and a bit worried, and I said, Tim, it'll just be a cyst, it will just be a so-and-so, we just need to get it out. That's what everyone said to us, it's not going to be bad news. And then I just remember the look on this man's face, the specialist, when he sat us down. He started talking, and for me it was like an out-of-body experience, because I could hear the words, and I'm normally the chatty one out of the two of us, and I just couldn't. It was almost like I could hear the words, but it was happening to somebody else. Because it was completely opposite of what I thought he was going to say. Everyone else had looked at the scan, sat down and said, this is nothing to worry about. He looked at the scan, sat down, and his first words were, I'm very concerned about this.
Wow. And what it must have been like a sledgehammer, because you're not expecting it at all.
And Tim handled it, because you started asking him all these questions, and I was just frozen and couldn't even. Normally I'm the one that asks all the questions, and I think you kind of knew, didn't you, in your heart of hearts? Or maybe when it's you that it's happening to you, maybe you do know.
Did you know, do you think?
I don't know. I mean, possibly. It could be subconsciously I knew, but at that moment in time, it was a shock to me when he told me the words. And I think someone voicing those words to you, that you have cancer, is the words themselves send a shiver down, your spine. So I think even if I did know, I think the words still are very scary to hear.
And it's something that happens to somebody else. You always think about, oh, it won't happen to me. And that when it happens, you kind of think, oh, well, this doesn't happen to our family, or this doesn't happen to me.
It's a mind-bending thing, isn't it? Because all of a sudden, life as you knew it has changed completely. From, you left the house and your old life is there, and now all of a sudden it's changed.
Completely different. And the thing is, that, I mean, that wasn't the end of it. I mean, on the same day, Emma also found out that she was being made redundant as well.
Oh,
which weirdly wasn't a bad thing, although it was devastating because we didn't know where money was going to come from. But we also had Emma coming to every appointment. She came to every hospital appointment. She could look after our then 5-year-old son, make sure he was okay, because obviously that affected him as well. And so, although it was an awful thing to happen to her as well, it was something that it was a positive thing because it meant that we could have times of family together. We had a lot of laughs. We'd walk Benjamin to school each day, hand in hand, and we'd be laughing. And it's one of those situations where now I don't look at people and judge them anymore, because we both talked about it, that I think if someone looked at us happily walking down hand in hand, they'd say, oh, they're so lucky, look, they're both taking him to school, they've got a great life. And actually there's things going on behind closed doors that not everybody knew about. And now I think, obviously, when I look at other people, I will never do that again, because you never know now.
No, you don't. And you've got to go through this incredibly, an awful lot of invasive treatment. You've got to have the tumour cut away. And it's in your back, so I'm guessing it was near your sciatic nerve.
It was literally on my sciatic nerve. The actual tumour was cocooned within my muscle, and the actual tumour was 9 centimetres by about 5 centimetres, so it was very, very big. And this type of soft tissue sarcoma, you don't actually feel until it's very big, because it starts pushing on certain parts of your body.
Okay.
So that's why it was allowed to grow so big. And so obviously I'd had like a biopsy which was taking bits of it away from me. I'd had scans to make sure things were okay. And the good thing about those were they came back that the actual cancer was downgraded to low grade, and it hadn't actually spread to my lungs.
Oh, thank God for
that.
that.
So that weirdly, we came away really happy. Even though I still got cancer, it was good news. And then, yes, we then were booked in to have an operation, and they had to cut it all out. They had to cocoon the actual tumour with the muscle, and then there was a worry that the actual tumour was sitting on my sciatic nerve. And so the worry was that if, when they were taking the cancer out, if they caught the sciatic nerve, then I could lose the use of my right leg. So there was a lot of worry on that day. And, luckily I had a great surgeon, Mr. Abudu, and he did a fantastic job of my leg. I still have the use of my leg, fortunately. I'm in a lot of pain from it now. Which is a sad thing, but it's a constant reminder of how lucky I am as well, that, I still have the use of my leg. I still am alive. I mean, in fact, 10 years ago, they'd have chopped my leg off. So, there's a lot to be thankful for. Yeah,
bless your heart. Listen, we'll talk some more, if we may, in just Ace of Basil that she wants. Hang on a minute, I've just realised I can't see a thing because I haven't put my specs back on. Hang on, bear with. Thank you. I'm back on. I had a momentary panic then. Why can't I see? Put your glasses on, Vic. Alrighty then. We've got in the studio with us at the moment Tim Baxter from Fenny Compton, his wife Emma as well, and he's been telling us all about his journey actually, because after getting cancer, he changed his life completely. You just telling me about your lovely boy Benjamin. He's now 6, and sort of he's I suppose he's a galvaniser, isn't he? Galvaniser of the family to sort of help keep you grounded while you're going through all of this treatment and all of the trauma.
He's been fantastic. He has kept our feet grounded, and because of him, because we didn't want to let on to him so much, he would always come in with a big happy smile every day, and you can't help but smile yourself. And I think sometimes smiling and laughing is a great sort of tonic for the body as well, so it would make us feel better.
Bless you. He's all excited about Christmas now.
Oh, he can't wait.
Oh, bless his heart. So you went through all of this treatment, and after having the cancer removed, you went through radiotherapy and everything else. Presumably then, that gives you time, both of you, you've just been made redundant, Emma, to sort of stop and think about what you do next.
Well, I started to think actually in hospital, because, I mean, before I had the cancer, I'd gained an interest in photography. I've always loved art and photography. Something I had a passion for, but my dad persuaded me not to follow that route. He persuaded me to follow a more academic route, which is something I regret, but I could understand, being from the 80s, it's hard to get a job in art. So I've always had a passion for it, and I was lucky that when Ben was first born, Emma suggested that I went part-time. So I went part-time with Emma.
What were you doing?
Well, I'm an accountant.
Okay.
And so I went part-time to start off with looking after Benjamin, but when he got older and he went to school, I then started a business off for myself part-time to coincide with my other with my day job, and this was Happy Days Portrait and event photography. So I trained, I went to college and did a bit of photography there, and also I got a few bookings. I did a few things for the village for free, and I started to get a bit of business. Then obviously the news of having cancer happened, and everything got put on hold. Now after the operation, I was then in hospital. I was watching television whilst waiting for my family to come over, and I saw a royal photographer, Ian Pelham-Turner, being interviewed about the forthcoming birth of Prince George, and he was talking about what it was like to grow up in a household of a royal household. And I decided, actually, it would be great to contact him and ask for his help, because I love photography, and I just, having had this experience, I decided I'm only 42, I've got a long time of a career still left ahead of me. I want to enjoy it now. I've never enjoyed accountancy, and I love photography. So when I got out of hospital, I contacted him, and to my surprise, he replied to me and said he liked my story, and he was retired at the time and wanted to carry on doing things. I think he got a bit bored as well, and he wanted to give something back. And he said, actually, I would like to mentor you for 10 months. So for 10 months, from January of this year, I was going to and from London once or twice a week for the whole day, and I was being mentored by Ian. And this basically involved just myself and him, no one else. And he would talk to me about photography. He'd talk to me about how to take the perfect photograph. He would criticise my work so that he could help me improve it. He'd also we did so many different genres as well. I would do portraiture. I'd do fashion. I even went to some royal events and took photographs of the royal family.
That must have been exciting. Where did you go?
Well, I went for the opening of Parliament. So
wow.
So I went to Buckingham Palace because they had the new carriage that particular day as well, and so I was able to photograph the Queen in her new carriage. I also went to her birthday as well, so we saw the trooping of the colour and all the family. So you had Prince William and Kate and Prince Harry, and everybody was out on that particular day, so I was able to take photographs of them, and he was instructing me at the time how to take the best photographs.
So did you get access to sort of where all the photographers were, rather than standing on the sidelines?
Well, a lot of the photographers and a lot of the news were on the sidelines. I was standing next to Nicholas Witchell at the time, so he was on the side, and, you know, because of the day,
amazing,
it's such a security
yeah.
event, because the whole royal family are out, you're never going to get that close. So
your beat's close enough.
But yeah, I was close enough. So it was an amazing thing. And also he would actually, Ian would also organise models for me. So when we were doing fashion, he had a royal fashion designer, Lauren B, who would help me by bringing her clothes along, and we would take photographs of a model in her designs, and he would get other models along to do other things for me.
And he did all of this just. I mean, that's an amazing thing. Presumably, all this time you're being as supportive as you can, Emma.
Well, I was straight away job hunting, and luckily I got a job almost straight away. So I had about 2 months off, and then I was working again. But I think what was great, and I think the reason Ian did this is because he did all the baby photos of Prince William when he was a baby, and at the time he was quite an unknown photographer, and that really launched his career. And now he'll always be the go-to person that the BBC will contact if they want to talk to a royal photographer or anything. And I think now that he's closer to retirement age, he wants to give that back and launch the career of another unknown photographer, and sort of, cause that's what launched him. And I just think it was remarkable. I couldn't believe it when Tim told me, I'm going to be a photographer. I've emailed the royal photographer to see if he can help. Now, how many people would do that?
No,
it wouldn't occur to me to do that. And I was about to say, oh, Tim, he'll never answer, he'll never reply. Before I had a chance to say that, Tim said, oh, and he's replied, and he's going to mentor me. And it was just incredible, really. I can't believe that, A, that Tim did it, and B, that Ian replied in the way that he did.
And presumably it's helped you a lot, has it?
My photography has improved so much now. I mean, I always thought I was quite good at photography beforehand, but he's just polished it off. He's given me techniques, he's taught me lots of different ideas and different ways to light things. So yeah, it's completely different now.
And is this what you're going to do? That's it now, no more accountancy?
No more accountancy now. I mean, I can't do accountancy now anyway, because even now, sitting on this chair, I'm in quite a lot of pain because of where the actual tumour was, there's now a hole there where I now sit on my sciatic nerve, so it's always painful. So doing a desk job is a very difficult thing for me, so I'm no longer able to do that. So yes, this career, even though it's not been forced upon me because I love photography, it's kind of the best thing for me to do, because it's a little bit of sitting, it's a little bit of moving around, standing, so it keeps my leg moving around a bit more, so it makes it easier for myself. And I've restarted Happy Days again now, and obviously I'm trying to get the business in now to make it a success.
Well, fingers crossed it is. How are you? Do you know? Is everything all clear still?
Touch wood, I've had just over a year of being clear now, so I've got another scan coming up in January, and which they scan my chest and they scan the area where the cancer was originally, because if there's a place it'll either come back in the same place or in my lungs. So far, touch wood, everything's clear.
You don't get the all clear for 10 years, so we're 1 year into those 10 years. So, I try not to think about it, but you do worry every time you have a scan, don't you? And
when the scan comes up, I don't think you can not think about it, because of the day that we were told the news, I never expected to hear those words possibly, and we all take life for granted. And I think when you have had this and you know that life could be taken away so easily, I think you can't but help be worried when you go for a scan. So now I enjoy life more. I make sure of that. I have a lot more time with my son, make sure that we have a lot of happiness, and I just love everything about life now, and I love everything about being a photographer.
Oh, bless you. Look, fill every day with joy. I'm sure you're going to have a belting Christmas, aren't you? Has Benjamin asked for anything from Santa? Has he been specific? Or?
He wants a disco ball and he wants a walkie-talkie.
It's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag. Well, as long as he's on the good list, I'm sure he'll be. Look, listen, I'm a disco ball and a walkie-talkie. Sounds like a boy after my own heart. Thank you so much for coming in to see us, Tim Baxter, and it's been really nice to meet you.